Welcome back to The Art of Adventure. This is episode 145, where we take an in-depth look at the question, what is adventure? The Art of Adventure podcast is the podcast that helps you travel the world, run your business, and embark on an epic quest. We're going to be digging into adventure and epic quests today. I want to thank my patrons over on patreon.com. To support the show by being a patron, you can go to patreon.com/Derek Loudermilk. This episode is also brought to you by my upcoming project called Adventure Quest. The first one is going to be in Bali. If you want to check out more, go to derekloudermilk.com/adventurequest. It's a week-long journey in the wilderness where we will go through dramatic self-realization by spending time in the rainforest, canyons, waterfalls of Bali, meditating, yoga, fire ceremonies, you name it. It's going to be awesome. Drop me a line about that if you're interested. Without further ado, here is today's episode. A friend of mine recently asked which episode of The Art of Adventure best describes your view on adventure. And I realized I didn't have an episode specifically about what adventure is to me. And if I'm considering myself to be the expert on adventure, I realized I needed to do that. So that's what this episode is going to be about. I'm going to start off with a little story. So it's sunset. I'm running on the trails of the Santa Rosa Plateau. It's a nature preserve in Southern California. And imagine it like a rolling African savanna. It's got grasslands and some rocky outcroppings and some little groves of trees. And at sunset, you can hear the coyotes howling, echoing through the hills. And I've been running for about an hour or so, just letting the day's podcasting work and whatnot fall away from me. And I'm running along, just meditating to the step of my own feet across the gravel trail and breathing in and out, because I'm out of shape, and just being someone who's out for a run. And there's no one else around. And I see an animal on the trail ahead of me, and it sort of ducks off the trail because I'm about to run that way. And I think, oh, cool, a coyote. As I get up to the spot where the animal walked off the trail, I look to my left, and the animal's still there. And it's crouched down in the grass, and I stop, and I realize that it's a mountain lion. And it's 20 feet away from me. And it's just staring right at me. And I freeze, and I look right at it, and I can see it's got its little pointy little ears perked up, looking right at me. And there's this moment where we're just staring at each other when the rest of the world sort of falls away, and it's just me and this mountain lion, two big mammals in the wilderness together. It doesn't run away, and it doesn't eat me, thank goodness. After that brief moment, I realized I should probably get out of here. So I walk slowly away, keeping an eye on the lion the whole time. And as I round the corner, I take off into a sprint, and I'm just out of there. Bang! Screaming. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. Whew. Made it out alive. It was one of the coolest experiences of my life. Totally unexpected. I knew there were mountain lions theoretically in California, but I didn't actually realize that they were there. And so you never quite know when you're going to be on an adventure. Sometimes you can set out to create an adventure. You can plan an adventure. You can go out into the wilderness with your friends and seek to accomplish something. You can travel the world. You can start an epic project like writing a book or going to grad school or getting married. But sometimes adventure finds you when you least expect it. So you probably know by now at the end of each episode, I ask my guests what their definition of adventure is. Let me just share with you some of the ones that have come up frequently and some of the ones that I really like. Adventure teaches you how to become a global thinker. That's Omar Zenhom. Adventure starts in your head. You have to get out there and try something different. That's Cat Cruz. Adventure is exploring a new place with people I love. Michael Port. Adventure is consistent curiosity to learn and ask good questions. Budi Vogt. Jiro Taylor says adventure requires overcoming challenge, fear, or both. Adventure can be going to a country you've never been to and trying new food. Kara Ronan. Derek Sivers says adventure changes personal prejudice. A thought you held, something you would never do. For him, I remember that was getting into lifting weights. Anything new and challenging, says Stephanie Burns. Adventure is the ability to have fun without getting killed, Sir John Hargrave. Adventure is setting up life experiments and testing your hypothesis, Vanessa Van Edwards. Adventure is putting yourself in situations that are unexpected and a little scary, says Jonathan Levi. I've got a lot of these quotes. I won't read them all. You can check out the entire list of adventure quotes on derekloudermilk.com/adventureisquotes. Pretty much across the board, when I tell people I'm an adventurer, they say, oh, I like adventure. Everyone likes adventure. And it's very curious. It's a very human thing to want to explore. If you think about ancient people and the way our brains are set up, we're driven to be adventurous. We get a surge of dopamine when we go exploring and find a new way. Adventuring is creative in its essence. So adventuring is usually a time when you're creating something new for yourself or for others. That's why adventure extends into the realm of business and art. Scientists are some of the greatest adventurers, historically speaking. I've studied some of the greatest adventure writing for the last couple centuries, and many of them are on scientific expeditions. Darwin was one of my scientific heroes, a great explorer and adventurer himself. And it's this curiosity about the world that drives them to get out the door onto an adventure. Another thing that adventure does is it changes people, it builds their confidence and makes them into the people they will become. It's the ecstatic challenge part. It's not the post-traumatic stress growth. It's the ecstatic growth of exploration when you set forth on an epic quest and you live up to the challenge it presents you and you grow into the amazing individual that you will become, which takes courage and willpower. And so these are some of the things we've heard about. The call to adventure. Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey. Think of all the movies, action movies you've seen, Star Wars most representatively, but a hero receives a call to adventure. His normal life just isn't enough, and he must set forth on some epic quest, accept this challenge that the world has set before him. And that's why you don't necessarily always know when you're going to be embarking on an adventure. It teaches us things like how we're going to handle adversity. The challenges, big and small, that I set for myself, from singing karaoke to the first time, to doing graffiti for the first time, to setting a world record climbing mountains. Each time I have no idea how I'm going to react, if I'm going to bail, if I'm going to fail, if I'm going to succeed gloriously, if I'm going to get injured, if I'm going to get arrested, if I'm going to embarrass myself. It helps you know what kind of risks you're willing to take and what kind of adversity you're able to make it through. A really big part of adventure is stories. Stories fill our memories. They make it seem like we have a full life. Stories teach other people. Stories bring us together. And after a good adventure, you're going to have good stories. And it's our responsibility to tell those stories to people, how we felt about situations, how we handled our challenges, what amazing things we saw. We can inspire people. When you listen to a story, you don't have to experience it. So I can tell you about fasting for a week, and you don't ever have to fast to really understand what it's like. We'll also tell you about the inner thoughts going on during our struggle and the awe of the amazing things we see along the way, because the natural world, especially for me, just gets right into my heart. When I step out to the rim of a canyon or climb to the top of a mountain or put my mask underwater when I'm scuba diving and I see the beautiful tropical fishes, or I see the temples of Angkor, or whatever it is, and it just hits you all at once. What a magical, amazing, huge world we live in. You can't help but be overcome with these waves of strong emotions. And adventure helps connect us straight to that amazing part of the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. Adventure is the shortcut. It's also about building connection through your shared adversity with your friends, teammates, adventure buddies. You're rafting the Grand Canyon together. You're running an ultra marathon together. You're doing all these things. There's the band of brothers syndrome. There's no way you're going to escape without forming close bonds with your comrades. You might have heard of the psychological phenomenon called flow, the psychology of optimal experience. Jiro Taylor has been on this show talking about flow. And when you're on an adventure, that's precisely when you're most able to drop into a flow moment. When you're challenged and you're able to meet that challenge, when you have that absolute concentration on solving your problem, the problem at hand. How am I going to find a hotel in the middle of this rainstorm? How am I going to get across this raging river? How am I going to swing from one rock ledge to the next as I climb this wall? All these things require your absolute focus and your own ability to get yourself out of the problem is what's putting you into this state of flow. And time slows down and has no meaning. Just like when I saw the lion, I was probably in a real deep state of flow at that moment. Probably that's why it didn't eat me. So there's so many different aspects to adventure. There's, the mistakes that we make, Americans abroad, bungling about, talking loudly. There's the the relationship we build with our equipment, naming our volleyball Wilson, naming our boat, getting an affinity like I do with the titanium spork that I carry around everywhere. There's getting comfortable in different environments. You get quite comfortable in the desert, living with a herd of camels. But then, you're at the glacier now. It's an entirely new environment, and you have to build a whole new set of skills. And so your confidence is not where it used to be, and your skills aren't where it used to be. Do you take yourself seriously? Are you on a serious mission? Or are you having fun? Are you joking around on your big adventure, on your expedition? Is it your own expedition, or is it someone else's idea and you just tagged along? You can do that. That's what I did on the 3 Peaks Challenge to set that world record. Do you have some sort of economic excuse like Columbus did to explore and navigate the New World? He wanted to open trade routes, but really I think he just wanted to go on a big adventure. Does adventure make you more grumpy, or does it make you positive, or does it make you cooperate more? What does it bring out in you? There's so many different aspects of adventure. So I'll just ask you, what adventure means to you? What are some of the best adventures you've gone on? What are some of the stories that you have about adventure? This is a great chance for you guys to share your stories. And the best place to do that is probably on the Art of Adventure Facebook page, where we can all have a discussion together. So that's where I direct you now. let me know your thoughts on adventure and some of your stories of mishaps, successes, excitement, awe, curiosity, wonder, adversity, whatever it is that's stuck with you from the adventures you've been on in your life. I'd love to hear them. And one last part about adventure, and this is a commercial or an ad for Adventure Quest. A big part of adventure is a quest, a finite challenge that you decide to go on to achieve or find something. The quest for the Holy Grail, for example. So you might want to consider coming on Adventure Quest. And the first one is in Bali. That's a week-long trip in the wilderness. You're going to want to head to Adventure Quest, the Adventure Quest page on derekloudermilk.com/adventurequest, or just drop me a line, derek@derekloudermilk.com. And I'm putting together, I've got one in Bali, and I'll probably have one in other locations around the globe. I still have to go and explore those potential ones. But this is an opportunity for you to take the step from who you used to be into who you will become by spending time in nature, ceremonially getting rid of your past and stepping into the future. You'll have some dramatic self-realizations, guaranteed. We'll walk in the rainforest, the jungles, the waterfalls, the canyons of Bali. I'd love for you guys to be there. So let's just talk about that. Drop me a line and we'll chat. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. Now it's your turn to go out there and be adventurous.